It took Boromir 4 days to reach the Sarn Road. Not that he knew it by that name. Or if he did, it was hidden in dusty chests at the back of his memory. He stood and rested at the junction, taking in the view to the north and west. Through the grey, pregnant air, a great brown hill rose up into cloud. Its far side was littered with small, dark boulders that seemed to cascade down towards the Sarn Road. The Greenway skirted the foot of the hill towards the north, climbing up towards a wide valley, purple with heather. It was a gateway to the first real uplands Boromir had seen since Dunland. He was now in Cardolan, but the splendor of that great realm was no more. The land between here and the ford had been littered with ancient ruins, mysterious mounds and broken, ivy-choked towers. The only sign of life had been a small crofter's cottage that looked as though it had been dumped in the middle of the grassland. He glanced up at the afternoon sun as it tried to burn through the pale grey roof of the sky. The road was clearly running off to the northwest, towards who knew where, and its descent suggested that it would soon meet another river. It was times like these when he wished his mother would say something.
It leads to the river Baranduin, if you were wondering.
There you are,
said Boromir.
I'm heading north, so north is where I'll head.
He pulled his shield strap further onto his shoulder and strode onward round the eastern side of the hill. As he looked ahead, a huge swathe of cloud slid down the hillside and started to cover the valley. He looked down at the uneven, moss-covered stones at his feet. Here, the road was 3 yards wide and edged with low verges of long, coarse grass.
The Greenway,
he murmured as he walked.
Clever boy,
his mother said. He looked ahead into the creeping bank of fog, and then, as though a thick door had been opened, there was a sudden muffled clamour of hoofbeats. He jarred to a halt, and every instinct in his being told him to get off the road. He bent and scurried to the right, half sliding down a gentle bank and onto boggy heath dotted with holly bushes. As he skidded and splashed round the nearest of them, he peered back up the road. There, a dark shape emerged from the mist. Boromir's hand went instinctively to his left hip. He drew his sword, but he was taken by a pure panic, the same terror he had felt near the elven ruins. He wanted nothing more than to run.
Stand your ground.
The Black Rider had drawn his own sword as the horse charged along the road. It seemed to slow and turn as though to take the Sarn Road. But then another horse charged from the mist. Its rider was dressed in dark clothes and reminded Boromir of one of the rangers of Ithilien. This ranger's horse charged after the Black Rider, swerving away from the road. He drew his sword and raised it before swinging at his foe. But the rider dropped back in his saddle, and the dark robes billowed in the wind as though empty. The black horse, seemingly driven by some dark sorcery, leapt down the banking and galloped across the heath before its rider reined it back towards Boromir in his hiding place. He crouched down, again overwhelmed by the urge to sprint in the opposite direction.
You are a son of Gondor,
his mother cried.
Rise!
Boromir sprang up and ran out and raised his sword over his left shoulder. He charged towards the Black Rider's near side and sidestepped as he backhanded, but the rider had already reined the horse away. It banked wide as Boromir pulled his shield from his back. Again, there was the overwhelming urge to run, like the feeling he and Faramir had had in Osgiliath. The rider stopped and turned towards Boromir. Again, the ranger came charging after the rider's horse as it made a wide loop back towards the road. Boromir ran at the black horse, and the rider turned towards the ranger, who held his sword high, pointed at the rider. The black horse lurched off, and now the two steeds were charging at each other. With the last of his resolve, Boromir ran towards the horses. The Black Rider raised a hand and made a pushing motion forward. He gasped as the ranger was thrown backwards. His horse turned away from the black steed, just as the rider leaped from the saddle. It seemed to fly through the air towards the ranger as he lay prone, guarding himself with his blade. Boromir launched his shield through the air. He kept running as the shield caught one of the rider's unseen legs. An unearthly scream of rage filled the air as the rider tumbled twisting, the dark robes billowing and cracking. The ranger sprang up as the rider again took shape and stood for a moment, hunched over as though the filler of those robes were some infirm beggar, ancient beyond reckoning. Whatever this thing was, it took one step towards Boromir, shrieked again and hobbled towards the black horse. Boromir turned to the ranger and ran to him as the dark horse galloped off towards the junction. As Boromir asked him if he was injured, the ranger said something similar in Elvish before whistling to his horse.
Forgive me, Ranger. My Sindarin is a little rusty.
Boromir wondered why the ranger had not used the longbow he wore over his shoulder.
I am Captain Halbarad, and you must be Boromir.
In many ways, he reminded him of Faramir. He wore his beard short and his dark hair shorn about his shoulders.
I am. How do you...
But the ranger was already climbing into his saddle.
You are expected at Rivendell, but I cannot take you there. Things are afoot, Captain General. The 9 are abroad. That was one of them. The Witch King has returned to Arthedain. I must ride north. Head east until you reach the river.
But I have journeyed from the east, bound for Bree. As you can see, I am in need of provisions and a hot bath.
There is no time. Follow the river until you reach the mouth of the Bruinen. You'll see the Red City across the water. There should be a small boat moored there. Cross the river but stay west of the Bruinen.
Halbarad turned his horse.
Farewell, Boromir.
He started to turn toward the road.
Wait! Who are they? These riders?
Have you never heard of the Nazgul?
I've heard the name.
Ring Wraiths of Mordor. My friend, these are the great days we Rangers have been waiting for. War is upon us. I must away. The Greenway is being watched. Another wraith has been spotted in the Andrath to the north. I urge you to rethink your destination, Lord Boromir.
Again, he started to turn his horse.
Captain, can you spare some small amount of food? My road is long and my belly empty.
The ranger leaned back and reached into a saddlebag.
Only this.
He lobbed a large red apple at Boromir.
Water is what you need. Take this.
He unhooked a small water skin from his pommel and swung it onto the ground at Boromir's feet.
Captain, I am indeed indebted to you. Gondor is indebted to you.
No, Lord. I am indebted to you. The roads are no longer safe. Travel by night. To Rivendell, Lord Boromir. I fear it is the last homely house in these lands.
Boromir watched Halbarad's horse gallop towards the road and after the Black Rider. After he disappeared into the mist, he listened to the muffled hoofbeats fade into silence. Only after what seemed a long while did Boromir again hear the sound of skylarks. He glanced up at the sun, then looked eastward across the gently rolling heath. He turned and gazed northward along the Greenway. Finduilas remained silent. After a while, he bit into the apple and sighed at its juicy sweetness. Then he tied the water skin to his belt and set off, wishing that Lostall were there with him.